Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the Ovens Garage. Today I'm going to be showing you how to transfer the incandescent interior bulbs on my first gen over to LEDs. Now I've already done this project before on my 1992 Dodge W250 Club Cab. Now this project I'm going to be doing on Old Blue. Um, there's a couple lessons that I learned basically from doing it the first time that I wanted to correct the second time, so consider this an update video to that one. So I'll show you the parts and I'll show you what I learned from last time, and then we'll do the full installation for you. So the biggest concern I had from doing them on the red truck was, you know, they didn't last too long actually. They only lasted a couple of years, and then the bulbs, a few of the bulbs behind my gauge cluster started to go out, and I'd have to kind of tap the dash or tap the gauge cluster to get them to come back. So that really told me that either those LEDs themselves weren't good condition or good LEDs, which I don't think was the case entirely. I think Super Bright LEDs.com sells some pretty good lights, but it just didn't really work for my application. And over time they would go bad, and it just didn't really work out. So I wanted to get a different type of LED this time to try that out, and then I also wanted to try out some different bulb sockets, so that way I knew I had good connections. Because I think what really bit me in the butt last time was the contacts on the old style LED bulbs that I bought were they were too flimsy, and the sockets themselves, they weren't really designed. I had to bend out the tabs on the end of the LEDs just to make a connection. So this time around I want to make sure I have a solid connection on my LEDs, and we'll see if the manufacturer of the LEDs, we'll see if the LEDs last over time. But I'm a little more confident with these ones that they're gonna last longer. All right, so just showing you the bulbs here and everything that I got. So today I'm just going to be focusing on doing the interior lighting, primarily the gauge cluster and then the message center. I've also got a bulb for the dome light, and then what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and get my key, what do you call it, my key light, halo ring light working, which on the non-standard on the non-LE trucks, they didn't actually come from the factory with the halo ring lit, and apparently you just need the delay timer, and the harness is underneath the dash, and you just got to plug that in, and the bulb's already in the column apparently. So we'll give that a shot later. So for the lights themselves, this is what I got. I got everything off of Amazon. I'll link in the description box below. They're all Auxito is the brand lighting. And these ones are, I got my white, I got my reds, and I got my ambers. And then I have a 2-pack of blue. That's for my high beams. And then, like I talked about before, I'll show you the biggest difference in lighting. Or the biggest difference that I'm going to do this time is these sockets are different than what comes factory on the trucks. So on the first gen trucks, they only have these two metal contacts on the outside, as opposed to having those down in the center there. And then the biggest difference with the lights, or the LED lights themselves, is I'm getting a solid state type of contact where it just has these plates versus having just those little like wire terminals at the end of each light. So this way I know I'll have a nice firm connection when I put these lights in, and I won't have any issues with them coming loose over time, or the vibrations of the truck making it disconnect. So the dome lights themselves are here, so we'll see how that works out. And then I got some smaller style, these are like the 74 or 75 style lights for this would be the low fuel warning light that comes with its own socket. These would be T5 sockets, and then all these other ones are T10 sockets with the 194 replacement bulbs. So Auxito, you can see, comes with a 6-pack and a 4-pack. They recommend that the 4-pack be used on exterior applications, or you can use them all interior. Since I'm going to be using most of them for interior, it's not going to matter anyways. I mean, I might use the amber ones for the cab lights, but we'll see how it goes. So if I take one of these lights, I'll just show you how well it fits into these sockets. So you can see here, and it fits really nice and tight. Just push that down in, and I know I've got a solid connection all around. All right, and here's just an example of the dome light bulb before I change it. You can see it's that yellow color, and it also gets quite warm because it's the incandescent style bulb. And here's the after, much brighter and a nice bright white. Now we'll go ahead and pull out the gauge bezel. It's important to note that the easier way to drop this is to pull out your fuse panel, 4 screws here, and then 2 7/16 deep socket nuts to drop the steering column a couple inches, and this will come out with ease. Before you pull the dash bezel out, there's one connector at the back of the message center. Pull straight back on it to get it off. There's also your 4-wheel drive light. Pull straight back on that to get that out. Just like that. Okay, now that I have the dash bezel out, there's 6 screws for your gauge cluster, 3 across the top, 1 down here, 1 over here, and then 1 here. All right, and down by the steering column for guys with automatics, there's a small fishing wire type of thing that you just want to fish out of here before you take your gauge cluster out. And that controls your park reverse neutral drive indicator. All right, and before you pull your gauge cluster out completely, there's 2 connectors, that round one, and then there's an L-shaped connector on this side, and you just pull straight back on those, and then you can pull your whole gauge cluster right out. Okay, just a note, be very careful when you're handling your gauge cluster and try not to break it. It's all plastic, you know, including your trip odometer reset button on the front. Everything's very fragile, so just, you know, take your time with things. So just explaining everything, all the lights on here. So these exterior ones here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then these 2 inner ones, 5 and 6. These are all your lights themselves for the dash lights. And then these 2 clusters of 3 here, the outside ones are your blinkers, and then these 4 inner ones are your idiot lights. So you've got your seat belt, you've got your high beams, and then you've got your check engine light and your oil pressure light, not in any specific order there. So we'll change out all these and put the LEDs in. All right, so changing out the backlighting itself, I just wanted to make note here. If you take a look on the inside of one of these bulb housing areas, you can actually see there's a bluish green filter on all of these exterior bulb dash lights themselves, and you can see right here that one of them actually fell into it. So if, you know, shake this back and forth a little bit, you can actually hear it shaking around a little bit. So when I go to change these LEDs, I'm actually going to I'll pull the fronts off, and I'll take the filters right out because I don't want that blue tinge anymore. I'm actually changing all the lights just to a nice bright white. All right, so I actually found something that's just kind of interesting. So the one in my 92, these bulb sockets were actually really not removable, and they weren't designed like this. They didn't have those metal pieces on the interior, and I had to bend out the bulb contacts themselves to make sure that I was getting good contact. Whereas on the 93, they're actually designed, as you can see, just like the new ones are, where you can actually make a good contact. But you know what? Now's the time to replace the sockets anyways, and these are nice new with, you know, nice new copper contacts, so might as well replace all the sockets while I'm in here. All right, so and for the 3 red lights, the check engine light, the seatbelt light, and the oil pressure lamp, I made those all red, and then my high beam I put in a blue bulb, and the rest of them were white. I even made my blinkers white just because Auxito didn't sell green LEDs. I just went with white, and the filter will make it green. Okay, and so to remove this dirty clear lens, you'll need a T20 screwdriver, and take off the 8 screws on the front. All right, we can go ahead and pull that dirty clear lens off. It's kind of stuck on there. Ew, that's gross. And as you can see, the black lens cover is also sticking to it a little bit. All right, and here you can actually see what I was talking about, the lens cover. So that one there actually fell right off. All right, so these are the blue filters. It kind of makes the light like a bluish green for the dash lights. So I'm just gonna pop out all these. There were 6 of them, and I'm just gonna check them. All right, so I managed to remove all 6 filters without having to take out any of the gauges. Also, just a note that now would be a good time to paint up all these needles in orange. I've decided not to, just because that's my own preference. But if if you choose to do so, now would be the best time to do that. And now is also the best time to clean up your lens cover. So I'm just taking some spray 9 here on the lens and getting out all the dirt and grime. Gross. Alright, and now that I've got that lens all cleaned up, I can go ahead and throw it back on the gauge cluster, and I'll put back on those 8 T20 screws. Alright, my gauge cluster is set to go. I'm going to go back to the truck, put it in the truck, and I'll go and grab the message center, so that way we can put the lights in the message center. Alright, so here's the back of the message center. As you can see, there's 4 lights here from top to bottom. I believe it's brake at the top, and then it's either your wait to start or your water and fuel is these 2, and then the bottom is your anti-lock. These 3 are red, and this one's amber. And then we've got a smaller one over here, and that's your low fuel warning light. So I've got my 3 reds here, and then my amber. Alright, and for the low fuel warning lamp, here's the old T5, and then the new T5 socket with the new white LED. There we go. Alright, and so there's 2 more lights. This one's for your 4-wheel drive light. I'm going to replace with a white LED. And then your heater controls, just pull straight back here, and I'll replace that with a white light as well. Alright, and so just testing the gauge cluster now. Just to note that LED bulbs are polar. So, they have a certain way that they go in the socket. I can see these 2 are working. This one's working here. I need to flip this one, and then it looks like this top corner I need to flip that one as well. All right, and so I flipped them all, and as you can see, all 6 bulbs are working now. All right, and just looking at the factory tack on my dash here, there's just a screw, a Phillips head screw on the back of the cover, and the cover pulls straight back. And then there's 2 already tinted bulbs, green, and I replace those with white LEDs. All right, and I've got the factory tack bulbs changed out. Made a huge difference. Alright, and here's just an example of the interior lights at night. So it's pretty dark out now, and the interior is nice and bright. Then we'll come in, take a look at our dash bulbs. Nice and bright. Even our factory tack. And then we'll do our startup procedure. Just a note here, this is a different style heater control unit, and it's got built-in filters, so it's kind of like got a weird bluish tinge to it. So I'm gonna try and look for factory replacement for this, but this is just a weird case. When we do our startup procedure, each bulb should come on, including the message center bulbs, these 4 ones, and then all of your idiot lights in the center there. For some reason my seatbelt warning light doesn't come on when I do my startup procedure, but that's not the end of the world. As long as I know my check engine and my oil pressure light work, I'm happy with that. And then you can see here in the message center, all 4 of those lights come on the right. And if you see the low fuel light actually flashes on and off, I don't know if that's right. I've never had a low fuel light that works in these trucks, so I don't know if that's supposed to the low fuel light's supposed to stay on as long as these ones do or not, or if that's just its test procedure. So we'll see next time I get a low tank of gas. Alright, and here's with the door closed. The gauges are way better than before, and they're really not too bad. We'll see how much I can dim them before they go right off. So that's about the lowest you can go, and that's actually really comfortable there. and even in the brightest is not even that bad. And right there too, your factory dash, or your factory tack dims as well. Awesome. And then the interior light. Cool. Let's go for a little test drive. Let's start this baby up. Start a procedure. Turn these lights on. Ooh, look at that. Yeah, buddy. All right, thanks for watching, guys. I hope that video helped. And like honestly, those new white LEDs made a world of a difference, and it looks a lot better than I thought it would. And that, you know, comparing the white to the green, honestly, I think I'm probably gonna change out the red truck to these white LEDs, and you know, kind of be done with the green. You know, the green was nice and it looked cool, but I actually really like the white. Thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for more videos in the future. Cheers.